Hi, I'm on the final leg of a trek into the fabled Golden Trout lakes of the Emigrant Wilderness. If you like off-trail treks over rough granite terrain with amazing scenery and amazing sunsets and alpenglow, then stay tuned. Hi, I'm 4.5 hours into what will likely be a 7-hour trip into the fabled Golden Trout lakes of the Emigrant Wilderness. I've had the beta on these lakes for around 2 decades, and I've never taken the time to actually go and visit them. Now, they're known as the Golden Trout lakes of the Emigrant, but in truth, only one probably still holds Goldens. That's the one that I'm going to today. From here, it's all cross country. Up over a steep boulder bluff. It should be another 2 hours if I'm lucky, if my route finding is on point. Otherwise, I could be in for a long afternoon. Now, what I'm looking for is a saddle that I can cross. I've got to go on the other side of this peak. Looks like I'm going to have to go down to go up. I'm thinking down through here, then zigzag my way up. Got a small canyon to deal with here. Let's see if we go this way. Looks like I might be in for some weather. Doesn't look like a thunderstorm, but if I get rain while I'm on this granite, that's not going to be any good. This will become a water slide. Wow, so the terrain keeps dipping and rising, dipping and rising. I want to go in that general direction, but I want to stay as high as possible. I don't want to get caught in a ravine. It's actually more wooded here than I expected. I expected just one big granite chute. And I'm actually pleased to see how wooded it actually is, because I've got my tarp today, and I'm going to need some dirt, preferably, to set up my tarp over. I'll be able to do it in granite, but I'll have to use rocks instead of dirt to hold down my guy lines. Now, pretty sure that's a saddle I need to go up, and it's looking like it goes up and then it dips and then it probably goes up again. It's probably something really stupidly steep. I think I'm going to go over here, go over to the left a little bit, and then it looks like it might be more gradual going up that way, but we'll see. You never know until you actually get there. Which side to go? Go to the right or go to the left? So I've gone left, and pretty much what I expected. Drops off into a little gully. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch back up this little hump, trying to take in the views on either side and orient myself. Okay, it's starting to look more like the topo map. Not as extreme as I thought it could be. That's where I came from. That's where I crossed. And that's where I usually go over 4th of July. I started at just over 6,000 feet, and I am now at 8,700. Okay, this looks like it's probably the final pitch. I have to admit, it is much more wooded than I expected. That's pretty interesting formation up there. It looks like a granite wall. Basically at the top. Okay, we'll see how things are from here. From what I understand, is right at the base of that of that bluff. So I think I'm going to follow this down, skirt across laterally, and then head up that little ravine on the far side. Yeah, this looks doable. Ugh. Not so bad. Not bad at all. I tell you though, this section is really sort of I was lulled into a false sense of security. Let's just say that, because I'd heard this was a tough trek, and frankly, getting over that pass there was easier than I thought it was going to be. I didn't count on this though. That's for sure. But it's looking like it's not too bad. I was just hoping it was going to be all downhill. Continuing to orient myself towards that bluff. It's looking like it drops down a little bit, then comes back up. Okay, so I know the lake is supposed to be right there. I know the best way to get there is supposed to be orienting myself to this peak. I'm going to see where this little gully goes. How the lake reveals itself is going to be really interesting. My instinct is telling me to go this way, because that's how the land seems to be going. But the map says that basically bottoms out into a cliff, and then I should be going up over this, around this rise. So I need to go up over this bluff. Looks like I can just skirt up this way and then left. Beautiful country, that's for sure. Okay, nearly at the top. Still orienting myself on that bluff as the path of least resistance. Well, I kind of hoped I'd be able to see the lake. There's more saddle to cross. According to the map, I'm right there, but you wouldn't know it. It's very, very well hidden. What do you know? Finally, there's the lake. There she is. What a sight. Maybe there's a camp spot over there. That looks like that'd be a nice place to camp. Wow. Granite Lakes. Very well named. Okay, I think I'm gonna hurry up and make camp. It's it's 3 o'clock. Which means it took me 6.5 hours. Currently at 9,300 feet, 4,000 feet of elevation gain. All this down climbing. I wonder what matted all this down. Yeah, that looks like a good camp spot. Here's camp. I decided to go with the configuration that I coined as the yurt, at least until I find out if it has a proper name. It's sort of a cross between, well, I see it as a cross between the stealth shelter and the triangle teepee shelter. It's not as square as the teepee, and I get a ground cloth. So far I really like it. Haven't actually slept in it, but you can see I've got plenty of space for my gear. I'm well in the middle, so if there's rain that comes in, as long as it doesn't come in with wind from this side, I'll be fine. Right now the wind seems to be coming in from this direction and from the back, and so that's what I'm planning for. Yeah, so I really like it. So gear wise, I've got all my standard stuff. Got my leg pouches here. Got my Osprey 58 dark timber Tavi as a secondary knife with fire steel, Leatherman Skeletal. I've got the Outdoor Vitals Loft Tech jacket. We'll see how that goes. You know, I didn't bring my down vest or my down jacket this time around. I figure I've got plenty of clothes to layer up if this doesn't cut the mustard, but you know, I really got to give this thing a test. Got a 5-weight 3-piece 8'5", and bear canister, which typically I've got the other bear canister. This one's I think it's about a pound lighter, maybe 3/4 of a pound lighter, but I usually use this if I'm only going out for 1 to 3 days. Yeah, so that's it gear wise. My knife carry today, I've got a Vehement Knives Kudamisa sheath, and this is a great sheath. I've got a bunch. I only own one Kudamisa, but I've got a bunch of these because this is the perfect sheath for like a 5 to 6.5 inch knife. It is really versatile. And today I've got, brand new to me, Randall 25/6. I've been wanting this knife for a really long time. I've got a 25/5, and the 25/5 is my favorite knife. And you know, this style is just the perfect wilderness blade. And by that I mean, when I say this style, I just mean, you know, 5 to 6.5 inch blade, you know, with a 5-inch cutting edge, something that resembles a choil. It can be used as a choil so that you can choke up. Something that has a guard with a bottom quillion but not a top quillion, because again, you want to choke up and not have that top quillion digging into your hand. You know, I like the guard because I'm in and around water all the time, and I want to make sure that my hand doesn't accidentally slip up onto the blade. And so when I say I think this is the perfect wilderness knife, and I don't mean necessarily this knife itself, but that design, that concept of a 5 to 6.5 inch knife with, you know, with the guard, with the choil, and the reason being, and when I say wilderness knife, I don't necessarily mean woods knife. I don't mean a knife that that you would spend time, you know, with firecraft and batoning through wood, and you know, this can do all that sort of stuff, but that's not the primary reason. When I say wilderness knife, I mean the, you know, the knife that you would carry if you carried an axe or you carried a saw on you. You know, this is the do-everything knife that you could use to gut fish, you know, to skin deer or elk or whatever, you know, whatever you might need. Yeah, so I'm really pleased to have this. Today is less about going fishing and more about, you know, just getting out, yeah, making my lungs burn, spending the night out somewhere new. That's really what this trip is all about. So I'm not going to fish too hard. I think I'll just walk the bank and see if I spot any fish. Maybe I'll prospect in some of the deep water, but I'm not going to hammer it too hard. I think to do this area justice, you know, this would have to be like a 5-day trip. So it's almost 4:30, and I'm gonna hit the lake. The temperature is really mild right now, so I mean, it did cool down a little bit earlier, but now it's got to be sitting in the mid 70s. There isn't that much wind, which is good. I think tonight I'm betting it's going to go down to the 30s. I looked at the weather before I came, and it's supposed to be really hot in the valley, maybe not as hot in the eastern Sierra. So you know, I split the difference between the two usually when I look at the weather report. I usually look for Pinecrest, and then I'll look for Bridgeport, and I'll split the difference. And if you know, if Pinecrest says thunderstorms and Bridgeport doesn't, and I'm mostly on the Bridgeport side, you know, then I'll hope for not having thunderstorms. So what I think I'll do, I think I'm going to walk the bank that way, and then I'll fish my way back, have some dinner, go to bed. We have our first confirmed golden trout. Time to tie on some flies. And we have our second confirmed golden trout. So I may be fishing dry flies here, because golden trout can be spooky, and if they're willing to come up for dries, which it looks like they kind of are, get some dry fly floating and present some dries out there. I'm going to put on a dry fly because that one fish came up for it, and that first fish that I saw was actually looking up. So he's cruising around this rock right in front of me. Today I've got one of my heavier rods. It's a 8-foot 3-inch 5-weight that I created to mimic the Sage LL action. No specific reason why I'm fishing a 5-weight today, other than my 4-weight line is dirty and I haven't bought a new one. So I'm fishing a 5-weight line again, as I typically do on a Hardy featherweight reel, and I've got a 8.5-foot, roughly 4X leader on. This fish has been very active in here. I've tied on my caddis cripple, which they're feeding on something really tiny. This is tiny, it lands very soft. Hopefully it won't spook him. Now the question is, where did he go? Let's not screw this up. Oh crap, spooked him. Crap. Yeah, I spooked him. Bummer. Bummer. That was a nice fish too. I'm going to leave that out and see if he comes back. If he comes back, I'm going to try to twitch it, get his attention. Well, that was the perfect opportunity, but I flubbed the cast. That first cast, he actually turned for it, but I think it was too close to the bank. He turned for the motion, and then, oh, is that a fish? I think that might be a fish. And then the second time, he rejected it, and then the third time, what a tiny fish though. The third time he outright just rejected it. And my casting is not on today. And he doesn't care. Okay, well maybe, oh, that fish is not looking up. Just sitting on the bottom, cruising around, looking for who knows what. Probably midges, which is what I probably should put on. Let's see if I strip this by him. He's coming up for it, he's coming up. He rejected it. He's coming back. There we go. Oh, oh well. So much for that. Okay, so we know the small fish will go after motion. Okay, on to the next fish. I don't see any fish here, but this is a nice deep water. And visibility here is maybe 3 feet. There's a lot of silt, which I'm thinking there's a lot of midges in here, I'm guessing. So I'm gonna work my way down that way. And then if I see any more fish, I'll throw the dry at them, see if I can entice them. If not, I'll put on a midge. Oh, there's a fish. Can I get this off without spooking it? Come on. Okay, let's see what happens here. Dink. Turned. Dink. Now it sees it. Ah! Pulled it right out of his mouth. Dink. Will he go for it again? Probably not. Golden trout aren't that stupid. Okay, so I got to get my timing down with this dry and this rod. Lots of steep water, lots of drop-offs, lots of good places for a nymph. So when I say steep water, what I mean is you can oftentimes predict the underwater topography of the lake by the shoreline. And so here we can see this steep point. We can see that the point is jetting in. Well, we can make a pretty good assessment and presumption that that is going to keep going either until it hits bottom or until it just drops. And so when I say there's a lot of steep water here, that's what I mean. I mean, all of this is just sheer banks. All of that, sheer banks, right? I'm not going to be able to fish that. I'm not going to be able to fish this. If I had a float tube, maybe. I'll be able to fish this stuff in here, but you know, it's going to be boulder hopping. So it looks like we have a little creek. Most of this is, there's a flat here. Oh, that's probably a fish though. There's a flat here. And then there's obviously a creek underneath all this brush. You can imagine all the fish that are hanging out under there. And then there's this little creek down here. Okay, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna lay a cast. Ooh, there's a fish. Tiny, tiny, tiny though. I'm gonna lay a cast right on the other side of that rock. And that is the first golden trout in the Emigrant. Ah, and he got off. Bummer. I would have liked to have seen that fish. There's another one. Ugh. Any more fish underneath the rock? So I can dap around the rock and hopefully any fish that are underneath will see it and come out. Nope, no more. How about down here? Oh, there's a fish. Is he gonna take it? No, he didn't take it. Ah, I should have moved it. That was a nice fish too. I wonder if it was the fish I had before. There he is. You gonna take it? You see it? Do you see it? Is it the fish I got before? Probably the same fish. Up, and he's spooked. Oh, he rejected it. Yeah, I think it was the same fish. Yeah, definitely the same fish. He keeps rejecting it. Okay, put some more fly floating on it. See if I can grab another one. I really would like to land one of these Goldens. Actually, no fly floating. Let's just toss it out again. Same fish. There we go. Nope, but that's not the fish. It was a different one. Tiny fish, but you know what? It's really beautiful. What a beautiful fish. First golden trout in the Emigrant. Hot diggity dog. That is so cool. Okay, it looks like the creek gets really tiny from here on out. There might be a few larger poles down there, but there's going to be bigger fish in the lake anyway. So let's concentrate our efforts there. It's about 3 feet in front of him. Take it. Oh, he rejected it. Give it some movement. Huh, interesting. That spooked him. That spooked him, that was hard. Okay, it's interesting their reaction to this fly. I may put on something else. Now I've got some midge flies. I've got a Griffith's gnat. Could put that on. I've got black gnats. So now I've got a size 18 black gnat on. The problem is, I got two problems. One, I don't have any paste floatant, and these are really difficult for me to see in the water. If I had some paste floatant, then I could grease my line up and I could watch my line, but I don't. It doesn't even look to me like it's floating. But in this thin water, I'm having a much better time sight fishing than I am prospecting. So just standing, waiting for a fish to show itself, and then making that cast. Seeing any more fish, the sun is starting to go down below the bluff, which is going to make it difficult for me to spot fish. I'm getting into the deeper water. So I think maybe it's time to put on a nymph and do some prospecting. Let's just check this area over here. Nobody here. Okay, I think it's prospecting with a nymph time. Going deep. Well, there's nothing worse than going in your fly box for one of your favorite patterns and realizing that you are all out. So I am out of the thread midge, which is what I was going to fish. Maybe I'll fish black magic instead. Okay, I've got my beadhead, soft hackle, gold ribs hare's ear, and black magic. Black magic is designed to imitate a small midge. It's basically thread with a copper thorax and some soft hackle. Are you interested in my flies? Not interested in that one, not interested in either one of them. Okay, so maybe this is not the great combination, because that fish just rejected both. Okay, let's do some prospecting. 15-second countdown. Strip, strip, pause. Strip, strip, pause. Strip, strip, pause. Strip, strip, pause. You get the idea. Okay, so I'm changing flies. Why am I changing flies? Because I've presented to 2 fish and they followed, but they've rejected the fly each time. So let us go ugly. You know what they say, go ugly early. So putting on a stillwater nymph. My my beadhead fly does imitate a damsel or a dragon, typically. I don't typically see it get rejected, but this was rejected. So I'm going to put on a similar fly in black, and then I've got a stillwater nymph, which is a bright orange. It can imitate a scud, but it's really a damsel fly imitation. But the bright orange, scuds sometimes turn bright orange. But you know, for the here and now, these fish are active. I've just got to find the right presentation. They may not be active tomorrow. You know, tomorrow morning I may come out here and it may be completely dead. And so that's why you've got to make the best of what you can when you can. What I've got on now is a black version of the beadhead soft hackle gold ribs hare's ear. This time tied in black with black seal's fur. And let's see what kind of reception these get. Now that was, you know, that last one was interesting because I was prospecting, and that fish followed those flies all the way into the bank. You know, so it's just, you know, it's okay, they're active, but what is it going to do? What do I have to do to entice them? I don't know. There we go. Sight fishing wins out again. So I cast these out. And this fish followed them in, and then rejected them, and then he turned. And so what I did is I casted it out again. This time it was real shallow, and I brought it in a little bit faster, and he took it. And he took the stillwater nymph, which is surprising because he seemed to be, no, don't get off. Which is surprising because he seemed to be interested in the black flight. Wow, there we go. That's a nice fish. Okay, let's let you go. And he's got a chunky belly too. I wonder what's in there. Just when I was going to give up on this spot and move, I think I'd only made 3 casts here. I made the 2 casts with the other fly, and that was the second cast with this set of flies. So maybe what I need to do is count down to 5 and then start my retrieve. Maybe it needs to be higher in the water column. We'll see. I'll get this pattern figured out yet. Okay, I got another one on. This time it seems like a long pull, a long retrieve is what's doing it. We'll see if that pays off. What, now he's foul hooked? What's going on here? Now he's foul hooked. Bummer. I'm back where I started, and looking for that big fish again. What I'm finding is that sight casting is much more productive. The prospecting at times would bring fish in that, you know, the fish would follow. And if the fish followed and I pulled the fly up and then I recast, then I could get them. When they're following, for whatever reason, the retrieve just isn't right. They're not taking the fly. But when I recast and I pull it in faster after it plops in the water, they're taking it immediately. 6 o'clock, it'll be getting dark soon, so time for dinner. And what do we have for dinner today, boys and girls? Well, we realized we forgot to bring cheese. So we have salami. And we have crackers, but we have no cheese. That's no good. And we have leftover Pro Bar. Yay. We might even have some protein powder, although I'm really not feeling the protein powder today, so I probably won't do it. You know, it's only a day trip. There's not going to be much muscle wasting over the course of a day. I mean, there'll be some, but yeah, I maybe won't do it. It would help keep me warm at night, but I'm just not feeling it. I just discovered something on my GoPro called Super View. No idea what that is, but it does give a pretty wide view. That's pretty sweet. I'll have to remember that. About time to turn in. Had a great day today. It was really a blast being able to sight fish to those Goldens and watch them, watch their reaction to the flies to try to figure out what the pattern was supposed to be. I still don't think I have it down, but I was getting strikes more consistently. Now all I need to do is just hook up more consistently. I missed quite a few fish today, but like I said, this really wasn't about the fishing. This was about this, coming out here and putting up this this tarp and being able to bivvy a little bit. That's really why I'm here. As I'm sitting here getting ready for bed, I was thinking that maybe I'll share some of my clothing system. So I've mentioned before that I always hike in trail running shoes. Today, the trail running shoes I'm hiking in are the Ultra Superior 3.0. If you don't know Ultra, you should check them out. And then what I do is I have a 2-sock system. So I've got a wool sock, and then I've got a silk liner, and I wear the wool sock over the silk liner. I've got an ankle brace so that I don't turn my ankle. I never really need them because I'm pretty sure-footed most of the time, and I've never had an issue, but I do it anyway. So I've got the silk liner, then I've got the ankle brace, and then I've got a wool sock on top of all of that. My pants, I've mentioned before, I think, are just ex officio. They're really old. They're probably 20 years old. Quick drying, thin, quick drying material with convertible to shorts. I never use them as convertible to shorts. My shirt, as always, is icebreaker. I usually wear different weights. Since I figured it was going to be hot today, I wore the thin one, so this is the 150 weight. But I also have medium weight. I've got the 200 weight. I've got a 250, and so on and so forth. But I don't have those with me today. Today, what I have with me, and what I'm going to be sleeping in. So my feet always get cold at night, so I switch out my socks, and I wear these wool socks. I've got a pair of silk underwear that I'll put on, because when you bivvy, it's cold. And these are really warm. If you've never checked out silk, you really need to. The warmth for the weight ratio is just outstanding. I've got a silk shirt. And then I've got this polyester shirt that I really like. I got this one actually in Nepal. I had one that was very similar to this. And when I saw this in Nepal, I had to get it. And the reason being is these little ridges create air pockets when they're next to your skin, and they keep you really warm. So I picked up that. Now this one wasn't designed to be worn next to your skin, but I'll just wear it inside out. And that's it. So this is, if it really gets cold tonight, I'll stick this on. But my sleeping bag is pretty well rated, so I don't think I'll get cold. My feet may get cold, but my feet always get cold. And if they do, I'll just stuff I'll stuff my jacket down at the bottom and provide an extra layer of warmth. Well, it seems I won't have to worry about my feet getting cold. It looks like I packed double wool socks. I was in my tent, and then all of a sudden, everything turned all orange. Wow. That really is some alpenglow.